What I wish I knew before starting IVF is that the Stims process is way more intense than I ever would have expected. I'm not just talking about the shots, I'm talking about the emotions, the bloating, the constant appointments, and the little things that no one really tells you about, not on TikTok, not on YouTube, until you're actually like in the middle of doing it. Honestly, I feel like I learned so much the hard way, and that's why I wanted to make this video. So if you're about to start STEMs, you don't go in as blind as I did. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing my experience with IVF stems and everything I wish I had known before I started. I've only been through the stimulation part so far for IVF, but trust me, there is a lot to unpack. From the physical side effects to the emotional roller coaster to just how much your daily life just has to shift. I want to break it all down for you so you can feel a little more prepared and a little less alone in this process. And just a quick disclaimer, I am not a doctor and this video is based on my personal experience only. This video is for educational purposes only. Everyone's IVF journey is different, so please make sure to follow your own doctor's guidance and make sure that you're doing what's best for you. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the emotional roller coaster of stems. That is something that I did not expect because honestly, I wasn't like ready for that part. Like, I didn't know that the hormones that were involved were gonna make me like be moody all the time. Like, they were literally affecting my mood from 1 minute to the next. Like, one day I would feel perfectly fine. Like, the first couple of days of stems, I was cool. And then as I got more into it, like, I would hug my sister and I would start crying. Like, and it wasn't just like, it wasn't anything wrong. Like, she would ask me, what's wrong? What's wrong? And I'm like, nothing. I'm just crying. It was like all the hormones had just turned me all the way up, like my emotions, and I just wasn't prepared for that. And I also wasn't prepared for the anxiety that comes with the waiting, because you're like going to the doctor every 2 days, every single ultrasound, every single blood draw. I felt like this pressure, like, okay, is my follicles growing enough? Am I responding the way I'm supposed to? Is this actually working? Like, is there anything I can do to make it work better? And that like really started to weigh on me, and I wish I had known how mentally exhausting that part would be, because it wasn't just about the physical side effects. It was like the constant wondering of like if I was doing everything right and if we were gonna get like a lot of eggs versus not a lot of eggs. And then on top of all of that, life keeps going on around you. Like, life doesn't stop because you're doing stems. And I can't tell you how many times I felt like I was just like, what is going on? Like, I'm coming home every night and I'm taking shots. Like, everyone else seemed to be like moving forward with their life. And I'm just over here like, oh, my life is kind of not in shambles, but like, it got exhausting really quick. You know what I'm saying? To like be coming home every night, doing the same thing every night, which was the shots, which were also painful, which were not painful, but just that Munipur burns. I'm just gonna let you know. It burns. So like, to come home every night and know that you have to do the shots and everything, it's mentally exhausting. Something else that surprised me was how isolating it can feel. I can't imagine if I didn't have like social media, or have like a supportive partner, which Warren was absolutely great. Having a supportive mom, having supportive friends. Like, I had the best support going through IVF stems. Yes, it was an emotional roller coaster. Yes, it was, you know, just a lot on my mental. But having that support system was absolutely amazing. It can be hard for people who don't know anything about IVF to fully understand the ups and downs. And some days I felt like nobody got it. You know, even my husband is like, okay, you're giving me the shots, but you're not actually taking the shots. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not actually going through with it. But it was just still good to have his support, and like people just love on me, like especially my mom, and just like how she checked in every day on me. And I'm gonna try to get through this video without crying, okay? But to have like my mom and my husband, and you know, a lot of people can't say that they have people on their job to support them, but even the people on my job, like my coworkers, just, and my mom and my husband, they all cover me in prayer. My friends, you know, they cover me in prayer, and they just checked in on me every day. And I cannot explain how important it is enough to have a strong support system when you're going through the emotional roller coasters of feeling up and then feeling sad, or then like just these roller coaster of emotions that you feel as you're taking the shots. Now, like I said in my disclaimer, everybody's IVF journey is not the same. But I would just say that, you know, having a support system is just so important. And you don't know how you're going to react to the medicines. You know, you could be happy as a clam, you could be not bloated, you know, you could still be living life normally, but you could also have every symptom in the book, like I pretty much had. Um, so just make sure you have a good support system in place while you're doing stems and before you do stems. And the last thing I'll say on the emotional roller coaster section is please give yourself some grace. Like, you are literally pumping hormones into your body, rearranging your entire schedule, and putting your heart and everything that you've been through in your trying to conceive journey on the line every single day. So if you feel moody, if you feel anxious, if you feel like you just need to cry it out, it's okay. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean that you have given up on your journey. It means you're human. Looking back, I wish I had reminded myself a little more often that what I was feeling was normal and it was valid. And you're not crazy and you're not failing. You're just going through something that's incredibly intense that most people will never fully understand. Okay, number 2 on the list of what I wish I had known before IVF. Now let's talk about the physical side effects of stems, because this was one of the hardest parts for me. And honestly, I wish somebody had sat me down and said, here's what you might actually feel and see with a lot of changes in your body. The first one was the bloating. Oh my goodness. Like, I felt like I was carrying around a balloon in my belly. Like, at first, it was not too bad. Like, the first couple of days you start stems, but as you go on and your follicles start growing, it just gets heavier and even more uncomfortable. Simple things like bending over, buttoning your jeans, or even just walking around, it just started to feel different. And so, if you're about to start stems, stock up on clothing. Like, get you some shorts. I can do a separate video on what I got. Get you like some shorts if you're doing stems in hot weather, or like some leggings that's like super stretchy. Dresses if you can. That it was so helpful for me to wear dresses to work because nothing was like tight around my belly. Another thing you can do is get what is it called? What else do I have? Dresses, shorts. Oh, get you some maternity bras, because we'll get into that. But anything that's gentle around your stomach for the bloating part, that is what you're going to want to have. I lived in like gacho pants, the stretchy shorts that you can like extend, that has a little tie in the front. Yeah, you're gonna need some of those because the bloating is real. Okay, and I needed something to wear to work that was still office appropriate, but could also give me that breathing room that I needed when, you know, I had that bloating going on. Okay, Now we're going to talk about constipation. Constipation and digestion changes. Like, that was a really big one for me too. No one really warned me about this, but the meds can slow down your system and it's not fun. For me, I had to stay on top of stool softeners. Colace became part of my daily routine, and I'm so glad that my friend that's an OBGYN, she recommended that to me because I was having a little constipation before I even started Stims. So I wanted to go ahead and get myself regular before I even started, since I knew that maybe not, I would have had some constipation issues. They say a lot of this on Reddit that, take Colace, take daily stool softeners, take magnesium, but I did not expect for it to like punch so hard to the fact where by day 5 of Stims, you're not going regularly to the bathroom anymore. So what I would suggest is start Colace or any type of like stool softener the day of your first day of Stims. Like, just start it all. Okay. And when you're about to come upon your retrieval, just still keep taking your Colace daily. Maybe take 2 by the time you get to like day 8 or day 9, because when you come out of your retrieval, yeah, you're not going. Okay. I just want to make that perfectly clear. You're not going to the bathroom. Okay. Everything is being rearranged down there after your egg retrieval. Now, again, I want a disclaimer. It's not like this for everybody. But for me, everything had to heal down there. Okay. I want to make that perfectly clear. So start your Colace. Okay. Day 1 of Stims, and get you like a Miralax or a Ducalax. Miralax didn't work for me, so I had to use Ducalax, and you can get it from Walgreens. You're gonna take that at least not the day of egg retrieval, but the next day. If you want to poop, you know what I'm saying? I didn't take my Ducalax, until about day 7 after egg retrieval, because I kind of wanted to give myself the chance to go naturally. But once I realized, oh, this is a totally different ball game, I was like, let me take this Ducalax and let me see what it's gonna do. And it worked. Okay. Within 12 hours, I went to the bathroom, but it did not hurt of me pushing out in the bathroom because I took that Colace. I was still taking the Colace every day. It came out nice and smooth, and that's what you want, because you don't want to be straining yourself or hurting yourself, especially if you are a risk for OHSS. And we will talk about that later in the video as well. But you want to make sure that when you do go to the bathroom, okay, that it's coming out nice and smooth. So Ducalax or Miralax, and get you some Colace or whatever stool softener that you prefer. And I also want to add that drinking tons of water and adding in electrolytes also helped with the digestion changes. But I wish I would have known like from day 1, so I would have been proactive instead of uncomfortable. I really wish I would have took the Ducalax a little sooner after egg retrieval, so that way I would have been going regularly again a little bit sooner than I would if I had waited, day 7. Another big side effect with me was breast soreness. Oh my God, y'all. That probably was, whew, that and the bloating was probably the worst ones, I would say, for me. I've had sore breasts before during my cycle, like in the luteal phase. Not the same. Not the same. I told my husband that I would definitely know I'm pregnant, because let me tell you, it hit worse after my trigger shot. I did a dual trigger with Lupron and HCG. I took that trigger shot and it was like, it was over for me. Like, my boobs had gotten a little bit bigger. My nipples changed color drastically. Like, I was like, what is going on with my body? Like, it is definitely more intense and it's more persistent than the breast pain that you will experience during the luteal phase of your cycle. It was like terrible. Sleeping was worse, you know, because I'm not really a back sleeper. I'm a stomach sleeper or a side sleeper. But even sleeping on my side, like, made it terrible. Like, it was hurting so bad. I would roll over immediately if I would feel it and just lay on my back because I'm like, this is the only position I can lay in where I do not feel pain. It was definitely something that I wasn't expecting to be that uncomfortable. Okay, let's talk about cramps. About halfway through Stims, probably starting day 5, I was starting to experience like some period like cramps that would come and go. It's normal. At least it was normal for me. My ovaries were working overtime, but it still caught me off guard. So I would wake up like early in the morning or even be sitting at work, and then suddenly I would feel them. And I'd be like, oh my God, do I need to call my REI doctor? It wasn't unbearable, but it was like, why am I cramping? You know what I'm saying? Since we're taking the drugs, but it wasn't bleeding, but it was something that I noticed. Something else that I noticed, and I don't really hear a lot of people talk about, was the needing to pee a lot more often after egg retrieval. So before Stims, I could hold it in for hours if I needed to. Like, I would pee in the morning when I wake up, do my morning routine, go to work, not drink anything until maybe lunch, and then I was good. Like, I could hold my pee. But after Stims, no, my bladder felt like it had zero patience, and that change stuck with me for a long time, even to this day. It's not painful, but it's just a weird adjustment that I wish I had been ready for. Before my egg retrieval, they did have to put a catheter on me, and I think that weighed heavily on like my whole bathroom experience after egg retrieval. And then there is the fatigue. I guess fatigue is pretty much expected. The hormones, the early morning appointments, the constant like stress, even though you may not feel stressed, it really all adds up. And I found myself way more tired than usual. And sometimes I would just fall asleep on the couch or just go to bed way earlier than normal because I was just so exhausted. It wasn't the kind of tired that you can like push through with coffee. I wasn't even on caffeine during Stims anyway, but it's just you're just tired. Especially if you're walking around bloated with all those eggs and they're just sitting in your pelvis and you're walking around and you're still going to work and stuff. It, it's like a deep, heavy exhaustion that hits you hard, especially when you're close to egg retrieval. I had to remind myself it's okay to rest. Your body is literally growing and maturing multiple eggs at once, something it doesn't normally do. That's exhausting work, even if you don't see it from the outside. Some people also get headaches, dizziness, or even little twinges in the lower back or sides as their ovaries grow. And while not everyone experiences all of these, it's good to know that they're possible. For me, the combination of bloating, breast soreness, cramps, constipation, and fatigue was definitely enough to make me feel completely different in my own body. I wish I had known how physically draining it would be because I might have been kinder to myself in those moments. So if you're about to start Stims, my advice to you is listen to your body. Stock up on comfy clothes, drink all the water you can, keep stool softeners and heating pads nearby, and don't beat yourself up if you're too tired to do everything you normally do. Your body is working harder than it ever has before, and the best thing you can do is give it the grace and the support it needs. Okay, let's get into the injections because this was the part I was the most nervous about going into Stims. And thankfully, my husband Warren did all of my shots. I honestly don't think I could have done them myself, so having him there made a huge difference. What I didn't realize before starting IVF was just how many medications there would be. In my head, I thought, okay, maybe one shot, maybe two shots at night. But in reality, it was like two shots at night and maybe even one shot in the morning and maybe even another shot at night. And then it was just crazy how many shots I had. And every time Warren would have to line everything up, the alcohol swabs, the needles, the vials, like he was literally running a little mini pharmacy right at our kitchen counter. It was crazy. Like, it became a part of our nightly routine, whether we wanted it to or not. The mixing part was the most intimidating at first. I cannot even tell you how many videos we watched. Some meds come as powders, some comes as liquids, and watching Warren go through all those steps the first couple of times, I remember thinking there's no way I could have done this on my own without panicking. Like, it felt so official, and we were both worried about messing it up because those meds are very expensive. But after a few nights, he got into a rhythm and it became second nature. Now, even though I wasn't the one poking myself, I definitely felt the aftermath. Some of the meds sting when they go in, like I mentioned Menopur before, and a few left little bruises or red spots on my stomach, like the Citrotide. By the end of the stem cycle, my belly looked like a patchwork of tiny little dots. Warren always tried to be gentle, but there's only so much you can do when your ovaries are working overtime and your skin is getting poked night after night and sometimes in the morning too. One thing I wish I had known was how much technique matters. If you don't let the alcohol dry, the shot burns more. If you inject too quickly, it stings. And sometimes, no matter how careful you are, a bruise just happens. Warren learned little tricks along the way, like changing sides and rotating spots, which helped keep the soreness from getting unbearable. But what really surprised me was how much the injections controlled our evenings. Everything revolved around that one time of night. 8 o'clock. That's the time we set. We couldn't just push it back an hour or skip it. It had to be done on schedule. So even if we were out or tired or not in the mood, Warren still had to set everything up and give me those shots. It wasn't just my IVF journey, it became our routine. And honestly, looking back, I'm so grateful he did them for me because every night when he gave me those shots, it reminded me that I wasn't going through this by myself. There was something really grounding about knowing he was literally in it with me, not just supporting me emotionally, but physically taking part in the process. It turned what could have been a scary, overwhelming part of IVF into something that felt like teamwork. So if your partner is able and willing and not afraid, don't be afraid to lean on them. It doesn't make you weak, it just makes the journey a little bit more bearable. And if you are doing them on your own, please know that I admire you so much because no matter how the shots get done, it takes so much courage to get through that part of IVF. What I wish I knew is that the injections would be tough, but they will also show me just how strong myself is and how strong my marriage is and how strong my support system really is. One of the biggest things I wish I knew before starting Stims was how much it would completely change my daily routine. IVF is not something you can just squeeze into your schedule. It takes over your schedule. First, the medication timing. Every night at the same time, without fail, we had to stop what we were doing and do injections. It didn't matter if we were eating dinner, watching TV, or even out somewhere. We had to make sure that when it came time to be 8 o'clock, we was where we needed to be because that was shot time. And when I say it controls your evenings, I mean it. There's no pushing it off for later, no skipping a dose. It's strict. And once we started, it felt like everything else had to been around that one non-negotiable part of the day. Then there are the appointments. Almost every morning I had to go in for blood work and ultrasounds. That meant waking up earlier than usual, planning around work, and honestly just feeling like I was living at the clinic sometimes. I didn't realize how much of a time commitment monitoring would be, and those early mornings can catch up with you, especially when you're already tired from the hormones. Another big routine shift was just the mental load of it all. Every day I was thinking about, do I have enough meds? Did I order enough, medications? Like, am I going to go 14 days versus 10 days? Or how am I going to do this if I don't have enough medicines? Are they going to overnight it? Do I need to bring ice pack with me to work? Do I need to bring a heating pad with me to work? Like, I was just all over the place in my mind. And then food and water became a part of the routine too. I had to make sure I was drinking enough water to try to reduce bloating, drink enough electrolytes to lower the risk of OHSS. I even started carrying a big water bottle with me everywhere because like I needed that constant reminder that I needed to drink water because of what my body was going through. And even eating had shifted. Like I had to think about eating lighter on some days that I felt super bloated, but I also ate heavier in the beginning because I just had a really good appetite. So it's not just the physical routine, like it's the mental shift of realizing that IVF is now the center of your day, it's the center of your world, and everything else, work, errands, plans, it all has to fit around the injections and the appointments. And that's something I really wish I had been more prepared for because it literally changes your rhythm completely. If I could go back and talk to myself before starting Stims, there is a lot I would say. But first, I would tell myself, give yourself some grace. You're about to do something that's so incredibly hard, probably the most hardest thing that you've ever done in your life. And you're not going to feel like yourself at all for a while. And that's okay. You're not weak for being emotional. You're not weak for being tired. Your body is literally producing your future children. I'd also like to remind myself that it's okay to ask questions. I went into some appointments feeling like I didn't want to bother the nurses or the doctors, but now I know there's no such thing as a silly question during IVF. And if something doesn't make sense to you, speak up and advocate for yourself. And I would tell myself to better prepare for the little things, like having comfy clothes, which I did have a few things, but I feel like just stocking up on everything, not waiting until the last minute, because I feel like I definitely waited until the last minute to like fix my little card, my little recovery card that I made, and just get things together, like stocking up on stool softeners and keeping my heating pad nearby. Like the day of my egg retrieval, I didn't even know where my heating pad was that I bought from Amazon to put in the car on the day of the retrieval, so I at least had a heating pad on the way home. So it's like not being a procrastinator, which I can sometimes be. Thank God I'm not a procrastinator in my professional life, but like in my personal life, I'm such a big procrastinator. And I would just tell myself to just be better prepared, if I had to go tell myself something like before I started Sims. And meal prepping for those nights when cooking like felt impossible and not having to rely on Uber Eats or DoorDash. Those small things can make a huge difference. So that's everything that I wish I knew before starting IVF STEM meds. It's messy, it's emotional, it's overwhelming, but it's also proof of how strong you really are. If you're about to start your STEM journey, just know that you're not alone. I see you, I get it, and you can absolutely do this. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you in any way, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need it. And if you've already been through STEMs, drop a comment below with what you wish you had known, because the more we share, the less alone any of us have to feel. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.